From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Kamala Harris's campaign changes strategy on interviews, drops her play it safe plan, and even appears on Fox News to sit down with host Bret Baier. How did she do? Why did she do it? And how will it affect the race, if at all? Welcome. I'm Paul Gigot with the Wall Street Journal opinion pages, and this is our daily Potomac Watch podcast. I'm here with my colleagues Kim Strassel and Kyle Peterson. So, an abrupt turn here in the last week or so for the Harris campaign. Interviews on Howard Stern's radio program, Charlemagne the God, the podcaster. Before that, the women hosts on The View, and most notably, this week, Fox News. Before we get to the substance of the Fox interview, I want to talk a little bit about why the change in strategy by the campaign to expose the vice president to more questions. She had been playing it pretty safe. Kyle, what's your explanation?
Well, I think it might be getting to them the criticism that she had been shielded from the press and running a kind of basement campaign. That was the narrative from the Trump camp. And I think maybe they saw in some of their polling or some of their conversations with voters that that message was breaking through. And so I think they're trying to reverse that. Now they're making the case that she's out there. She's going and taking hostile questions, or at least skeptical questions, from places including Fox News. And Trump is canceling interviews with CNBC, for example. They're trying to flip that argument and make the case that the Trump that you saw on the debate stage is the Trump who you're going to get as president, and Kamala Harris is the one who is capable of going out there and meeting the press, as it were.
And I think related to that, Kim, the campaign must have been getting polling that suggested that she wasn't making the sale in terms of convincing those swing groups of voters, people uncommitted, of what she would be like in a second term. And then they want to try to see if she can put more specificity on that.
So that was what was really coming through, Paul, after the debate that she had with Donald Trump, is that while the commentators all said that she had beat him, as it were, on the points, that a lot of the voters that they interviewed afterward, especially those that were undecided, said that they still did not have a grip on her policies and her plans and what a Kamala Harris presidency would mean for them. And those are the people that she really needs in these final weeks. So that is clearly part of her decision to go out and start trying to, at least on the surface, appear to be giving more information about her plans and proposals.
All right, let's turn to the substance of the Fox interview, which is, at least in advance, was interesting because Bret Baier is a seasoned interviewer. He's well-informed and is likely to be pretty tough-minded. So let's listen to the exchanges and the central question of this campaign, one of them, which is, how differently would her presidency be from Joe Biden's?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Bret.
That's pretty interesting. A couple of answers, I think. Kim, first question concerns whether or not she has gone as far as she needs to show how different her presidency would be from Biden's. Because while she said more explicitly than she has that it would be different. She really didn't say with any specificity how.
I know. That answer, by the way, was the most mesmerizing one that she gave in that entire interview, Paul, because it sounded as though she was winding us up. We were getting ready for her to do the big reveal. Like, this is how I'm going to be different than Joe Biden. It will not be a continuation. And then went on to essentially say, I grew up in a different way. And I'm not a career politician, although, by the way, she has actually spent most of her time, maybe not in Washington, but in politics, and then said, look, there's all these Republicans who like me. There was not a single policy mentioned there, Paul. There was a vague reference to sort of housing or something. But people want to know, are you going to rein back the spending that we understand is behind inflation? Are you going to be an active supporter of all of the above energy development, like Donald Trump says he is, or not? And what are the contours of that? Joe Biden has been all in on climate. Will you be the same? We've had none of that in this campaign. So when she says my presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's, her lips are moving, but you're not really getting any substance about what that means in practice still.
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk more about the interview that Kamala Harris did with Fox News when we come back. Welcome back. I'm Paul Gigot here on our Potomac Watch podcast with Kyle Peterson and Kim Strassel. Harris said on The View last week that she couldn't think of anything that she would do differently. This difference, Kyle, was pitched as fundamentally about biography, who she is, not a career politician, that sort of thing. I mean, biographical differences are significant in politics, but they're not, in this point of the campaign, what people are looking for. I think they're looking for some kind of a break in policy that tells people, this will be different, and it won't be just 4 more years of Biden. But she's been reluctant to do that. And when she was asked by Bret, turn the page from what she said was, well, turn the page essentially from Trump.
Right. And I think this is a mistake by her. It seems to be a strategic choice because it is an obvious enough question. How are you going to be different from the president of your own party whose administration you've served in? And she's gotten it a few times and doesn't seem to have come up with anything specific. So it seems like they're doing this intentionally. But the problem is that Joe Biden's approval is pretty negative. One of the numbers cited by Bret Baier is that 70% of the country thinks that America is on the wrong track. And so that suggests to me that Harris's better move would be to turn toward the center, offer a couple things, and you don't have to repudiate Biden's policies, but say something about what you would do to tighten immigration rules, to stop the migrant flows. Say something on energy, maybe say that we're going to, under my administration, we would export more natural gas to our allies in Europe, which would be good for jobs in Pennsylvania and would stop Putin from using energy as a weapon. And why is she so reluctant to do that? I mean, a couple things I can think of. One is that they are just decided this is a base mobilization election. There's not much persuasion that's going to happen. It's going to be a tight race either way. And they're confident that they're going to mobilize Democratic voters with their turnout operation, thousands of staff doing door knockings, better than Donald Trump can. And two is that maybe she is just not a politician that is capable or interested in doing this kind of pitch to the middle. She is a Californian from San Francisco. That's the political arena that she's been playing in, and she doesn't have much experience at talking to swing voters who are interested in these kinds of policies.
Well, but that if that's the latter is true, then the real answer is she won't be any different than Joe Biden for 4 years. She will, in essence, continue his policies, only more so. For example, she's come out with a new entitlement for home health care as part of Medicare. But she is not going to be in any sense different. I don't know if that's, just as a campaign matter, I don't know if that's going to be persuasive to swing voters. Maybe they won't care in the end. But it tells you that from a policy matter, that is, from what you think you'll get or can expect from a Harris presidency, will be kind of more of the same, except you'll get Kamala Harris as a spokeswoman. She's younger. She's more vigorous. There's no question about that. She has a different background. But she's not going to do much different, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, the way I would look at this is, and it's never been explicitly said, but she would be an attempt to finish the priorities that Joe Biden didn't get across the finish line in his term. One of the things, if you look at the policies that she has proposed, the housing subsidy, but also she's reviving all of those entitlements ideas that the Democrats tried to get across the line with their reconciliation bill, what ultimately became the Inflation Reduction Act. They didn't get most of those huge programs in there because Joe Manchin said it's too much money and I'm not going to go for it. But now she's talking about it again. Kindergartner, paid leave, childcare, all of these proposals that very, very expensive, cradle to grave government care for the middle class. This was Joe Biden's priority. He failed. But that's really, to the extent she's talked about policies, they are mostly ones that were revved up and debuted in Congress and didn't make it over the finish line. There is absolutely nothing new, and certainly not anything where she has broken with the Biden policies of the past. So yeah, absolutely a continuation or a finishing of his work.